Alright, well welcome back to the fall update of the Project 2 Turbo RANS S21 project. I've been working on wings over the last few months, and since there's several great videos out there on wings, I figured I didn't need to go in depth on the build process. I just wanted to do more of an overview of what I did a little differently than others that I've seen. Like always, this doesn't represent the right way necessarily. It's only how I went about it, along with my own justifications for doing so. Let's get into it. I'll start off with the fuel tank caps. The latest version of this detail from RANS has a rubber scupper ring glued to the bottom of the wing skins. My kit didn't have that mod, and you just simply pro-seal the gap around the cap to the skin after the tank goes in. Those familiar with the S21 wing also know that there's a modification to add tank supports to eliminate the shifting of the tank inside the wing. I came up with this doubler that ties into the tank stiffener, and also an aluminum ring to provide a seamless install in the factory skin cutouts. The tank isn't present in this video, but obviously it would be in this stack up here, sealed in place with the cap. This eliminates the scupper, and it leaves no gap for fuel to get inside the wing, as well as preventing the tank from moving, so I shouldn't need the additional mods behind the tank. The skin itself won't take any of this load, as it's directly transferred to the ribs underneath. Only time will tell if this actually works out in my favor, but I thought I'd show the idea here before the tank goes in and hides all these details. Now the wing is upside down here and the top skin is already installed, but the process I used is the same as what you'll see me do here. Be prepared to come out the other end of this with some Popeye forearms, or at least some carpal tunnel side effects from installing and removing about 7.25 million clicos along the way. The purpose here is to get the skin to sit in place relative to the rib holes already in place from the factory. Don't forget to run an edge forming tool along the front edge prior to getting too far along in the process. It would be impossible to do it after the dimples are pressed in. I start roughly in the middle of the wing and begin match drilling the number 40 holes into the leading edge spar, working my way out to the left and right. Then I remove enough clicos to lift the skin up, giving access to both dimple the skin and countersink the spar below. This is another spot where I decided to deviate a bit from the kit instructions. If you watch other wing videos, you'll note that most folks have a certain amount of misfires or mispulled rivets along this front edge, and you can chalk that up to a few different factors. Number one, we could have some defective rivets or potentially have the improper grip length for the application. Short of replacing them all, I can't really do anything about the rivets themselves, but the grip length is right on in my case, so that leaves hole preparation and potentially the rivet gun itself as the remaining contributing factors. I've pulled every rivet so far with my Milwaukee M12 gun, and it hadn't skipped a beat yet, so I plan to use it for these as well. Rather than upsize these to a number 30 hole and then perform the dimple and countersink operation, I set out to find some tools with number 40 pilot instead. You'll also see here that I superglued a small shim of aluminum onto half the lip of the micro stop. It doesn't really sit flat in the recess of the wing spar. I ended up finding the 120 degree 40 piloted countersink on eBay, along with a dimple set from Cleveland Tool. You'll see me pointing with the number 30 bit here in a little bit at these holes after the dimple is done. You'd be really surprised just how much that hole stretches during the dimple process. That number 30 will just almost go through the hole, and it's noticeably larger than the countersink wing spar holes. And yeah, I know that the most important hole here is the spar hole, since that's the surface that the rivet tail will set against. But I figure it just can't hurt to be as accurate as possible and give me the best chance to not drilling out failed stainless rivets, only to then oversize and replace them with high-dollar fancy rivets. Here's that hole comparison that I was talking about earlier. The number 30 only cuts just the corner off the dimpled hole when it's upsized. Next up is to cleco every other hole along this whole front edge, and Do exactly that. Take them up to the full-size hole, and then cleco those new holes, remove the remaining silver clecos and upsize those. Then pull them all back out, deburr and clean everything, and prepare anything remaining like stringers or doublers around all the access panels for final install. I'll just let it roll here, but since I'm from the future, I won't make you wait to find out that I didn't have a single mispulled rivet on either wing using this process. Take that for what it is, but I'll let you make your own call on that one. The age-old question. To prime or not to prime? Don't take advice from me. After all, I'm putting a snowmobile engine in an airplane. Some guys paint it all, some don't paint anything. I land somewhere right in the middle, and I like to have a little zinc chromate in situations like this, where I'm going to have some stainless steel permanently live next to some aluminum. I've found that wet installing these rivets is a pretty handy way to achieve some good protection from potential future galvanic corrosion. And that's what you see me doing here. With the entire leading edge fastened in place, I start moving my way to the rear one painstaking row at a time. I found that if I go a row at a time, it helps push all the slack towards the back, reducing the chances of getting any pillowing in the skin between the fasteners. Note that I don't have any clecos toward the rear, and I only keep one row clecoed ahead of the row I'm riveting. You'll also see that I skip a few on the rib just outboard of the tank bay, since I don't currently have the stiffeners inside, so I'll go back and get those at the end. Treat it kind of like applying a sticker, where you're squeezing all the air out in one direction. When I get to the back, it's time to match drill with a 40, followed by 30 upsizing. Thankfully, no dimples back here, but make sure to leave enough rivets out of the skin to give you enough room to deburr and clean inside, followed by shooting it all in place. I had my camera all set up and ready to record the actual installation of the wings, but you'll have to settle for some still shots since I'm an idiot and didn't hit record. In a nutshell, I hung the wing in place with some straps, giving me all the time in the world to trim and align things as I needed, and I didn't have anyone struggling to hold things in place. I've never installed airplane wings before, but I assume this went as smooth as it could have, and it didn't have much issue. I'll leave you with a bit of skylight work here, but rest assured, it's getting real close to time to moving this thing to an airport. Unfortunately, I have to remove the wings to get it out of my garage, but I felt like I wanted to do this detail work of the windows and the doors in the comfort of my own garage, and so that is what it is. Let me know your comments, questions, concerns, and suggestions down in the comment section below. Look forward to seeing you on the next update here real soon. Thanks for watching.